Chicken wing. Ready? Farmer Jeff? Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
board gamey things.
Exactly. My name is
Amy.
And your name is
Jeff.
Reed.
And this is brought to you in part by the letter B.
For Beal?
And board games.
Oh. We are here today to do another video, believe it or not.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
Do we ever sit here to do anything else?
Paint.
Yeah,
true. Play board games. We are here to do a list video.
Yeah.
A list video of our top 5 games or just 5 games that make good collection starters.
Yeah, and we chose 5 for a specific reason.
Why?
Because we figured that if you're going to start getting into the hobby, you're not going to go and buy 10 games.
That's a lot.
Well, at least you shouldn't go and buy 10 games. Start small.
Start small.
Dream big.
Yeah, dream big. Grow as you go. Like Farmer Jeff grows his plants.
It's funny, I don't grow anything.
You don't grow anything. Okay.
Just my ego.
Please don't grow that anymore. It has grown large enough.
That is rude.
We have 5 games that we would like to recommend to you as a collection starter.
Indubitably.
There's a few things to mention first.
Caveats.
Caveats.
I love that word. It's my new favorite word.
So number 1, this is us assuming that you've already played a few games with your friends.
Yep.
You've maybe gone to the boardroom game cafe to play some games.
Yep.
And now you got a taste for it.
You've played like Catan.
Catan.
You brought him down.
I'll be right back. Albie, could you be any more annoying? Wanted to come down.
Cats and dogs. Board games.
I'm back. Sorry for the interruption. So this is assuming you've already played Catan.
Well, it doesn't have to be Catan.
Catan.
But it's something like that. Like
like Ticket to Ride.
You've played some intro games and you're like, hey, this is cool.
This is
what
pretty
else
neat.
We did it somewhat, not necessarily based on, like this top 10 isn't like, or top
5 with 5 honorable mentions may as well be a top 10.
Yeah, like this isn't like ranked in any way. We basically were like, what are some mechanics that we think people would like to play and what are intro level games in that mechanic?
Yeah.
And we didn't consider price.
We didn't consider price. Yeah. We assume you have millions of dollars, money bags.
Yeah, you've been given a blank check. And this person's like, here's a blank check. Buy some. No, that's no. Actually,
games.
Scratch that because people in the comments will be like, blank check.
We picked 5 games, like Jeff said, based on mechanics, popular mechanics for kids.
Great show,
right?
Yeah.
So
was that Canadian?
It was Canadian. We have 5 honorable mentions if you want to try different kinds of mechanics. So technically, we have 10. Number 1. Let's just get into it.
We're going right from 1 to 5 or 5 to 1.
You said they weren't ranked.
That's true. I did, didn't I?
So the first game that we are going to recommend as a collection starter is, of course, Clank, a deck-building adventure from Renegade Games and Direwolf. I believe this is designed by Paul Dennen.
Paul Dennen, not to be confused with Paula Deming.
We once thought that maybe she also designed this, but turns out different people.
Different Paul.
Different people. Clank is a deck builder, but it also has a fun element of push your luck. It is not the most basic deck builder that you can get. If you want to try just a very pure deck builder, of course there's Dominion. But in my opinion...
Or like Star Realms.
Yeah, in my opinion, this game gives you so much more than that. And then there are other iterations of Clank that kind of add a little bit more complexity as you go once you get a taste for this game.
You're right, you could buy Dominion and the million expansions that come with that game. But I think this has, has a board. It has meeple that you're moving around and manipulating. It is push your luck because you're going down into the dungeon and you have to kind of make a decision on how long you stay and how many treasures you get and that sort of thing. So I think this comes with a bunch of different like experience related things that those other games might not, which are just pure deck building. Variable.
It comes with a dragon. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and it's like a bit bag builder too. Like there's a little bit of stuff.
It's a little bit of everything. You know what I mean?
This
is just an overall fun game. It is a game that we still enjoy playing. When we got this, we played the heck out of it for a long time, and it is still something that we revisit. It still lives on our top 10 list. I don't know about next year, but at this point, it still does. This is a game we would definitely recommend as a collection starter. I feel like you can't go wrong with Clank.
No, I agree.
That is our first choice, Clank, a deck building adventure.
Yep. Oh, we're doing back and forth?
Yeah.
Next up, we have Overboss from Brotherwise Games, designed by Aaron Mesburn and Kevin Russ.
Kevin Russ.
This is a tile placement, tile market.
Tile picking, tile placement.
Tile game.
It's a tile game.
In Overboss, you are controlling an overworld and building out your dungeon to be as complex and difficult as possible, and you're scoring points based off of tiles that you draft at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
Essentially. Very simple, very fun. There's an easy version and a beginner version, and then an advanced version which introduces some boss monsters for you to use. And I think this is just a great intro to tile placement games.
Yeah.
It's just a grid. There's no real super complexity to it.
Nope. Yeah, and like Jeff said, as you get more comfortable, then you can add in the boss monsters. And then there's actually a step further you can go with command cards, which we haven't even used yet.
Yep.
So this game will grow with you.
Yeah.
And I think it's very inviting. It's welcoming.
It's nice on the shelf.
It looks beautiful on the shelf.
Yeah, it's one of those games you could have friends over and they'd be like, "Oh, wow,
what's that?
That looks cool."
Yeah, I think this is a game you can trick your friends into also getting into games with.
We've played it at 2, we've played it at 4, we've played it at 3.
And solo.
And solo, yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. This does have a solo mode, which is an excellent solo mode if you're looking to get into solo gaming as well. Overboss.
Great pick.
We said that at the same time.
We did.
The next one we have for you is The Quest for El Dorado. This is published by Ravensburger and designed by Reiner Knizia. Yep. Dr. Reiner Knizia. The Doctor. I don't know why people call him that, but they do. This game is a racing game that has a deck building aspect into it. And it is probably the most pure form of racing game that you can get. You're not looking for victory points. You're just trying to be the first one to make it to the end. By working through different terrains, you're collecting cards, laying cards that help you move. And it is a very welcoming game that also does come with expansion. Well, it doesn't come with, but you can get expansions to make it more complex. But I would say that this is probably the perfect intro racing game.
You're probably gonna be like, oh, it's another somewhat deck builder, which fair criticism. But we wanted to include racing mechanic because it is one of our favorites. And I think racing mechanics play incredibly well with multiple people. It's somewhat party adjacent. So we wanted to include a race game because if you're coming into the hobby and you have friends that, you want to join on this journey, racing games play well in that realm of party adjacency, but also, not party-esque game. It's very simple, very easy to learn, and plays relatively quickly as well.
Yeah, and it gives you lots of variety. There's different ways you can form the track, so it'll change it up every time you play. Yeah. Basically. So that is Quest for El Dorado, our third pick. Our fourth pick, we do not own.
Oh, yeah, we don't own that one.
Our fourth pick is Lords of Waterdeep. Yep. Lords of Waterdeep is published by Wizards of the Coast and is designed by...
God. I tell you these.
Peter Lee and Robert something?
Peter Lee. Rodney Thompson.
Peter Lee and Rodney Thompson. See, I'm Pure Lee. Pure Lee.
It's Peter Lee! Rodney Thompson!
Okay. Lords of Waterdeep is a worker placement game. It's set in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So
in the city of Waterdeep.
In the city of Waterdeep. So it's introducing you to worker placement. It is a pure worker placement game. So it's a great intro to that mechanic. And it also is kind of helping you dive into fantasy.
I think it's just,
What's the word you're looking for?
Action selections you can take with your workers are pretty simplistic.
Yeah.
It's very much so just like place a worker, take a cube, and the cubes represent...
One's like a wizard.
I think it's like different factions or different like types of people or something to that effect. Very base worker placement game.
Yeah, and you're just trying to fulfill quests along the way with those cubes that you're collecting and things that you're collecting from the worker placement aspect. It is a fantastic intro to worker placement. I've already said it, but we played it recently and I was like, oh, this is like, I'd love to show this to new gamers and people who are getting into the hobby because it's really good. We personally love the fantasy theme. And if you're into things like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, I think the theme is pretty catching.
I don't think you can get much more simplistic in a worker placement than in this game.
I would agree. Yeah. And then next step up I would go from this would be like viticulture.
Really?
Yeah, viticulture is a mid-weight game. It's about wine. So that is our 4th pick and our worker placement pick, Lords of Waterdeep.
Indeed.
Next up.
All right, from AEG Games, we have Space Base, designed by John D. Clare.
I do declare there have been a lot of murders in Savannah. I was going to say in space.
Space Base is one we've actually introduced to new gamers. Yeah. My 2 friends, Dan and Dan.
Jeff only hangs out with Dans.
The Daniels. They really enjoyed it. Yeah. So we felt like we could include it in this list. It's just dice rolling and card purchasing. So in Space Base, you have a base in front of you, which represent slots from 1 till 12.
Yep.
And in those slots, you're going to be placing ships. And as you roll dice, you will manipulate those ships depending on the dice rolls. So if you roll a 2, you would activate your 2 ship. And the beauty of this game is that everyone's taking actions constantly. So you take actions on your turn as well as on other people's turn. It's just a really good introduction to the mechanic of dice rolling and that concept of benefit from a roll. And 2, introduces you to constant player interaction piece.
Yeah, player interaction for sure. And I would say that this is a great game that's going to start training your brain to watch things closely in games, because you need to be paying attention to what you're doing. You need to be paying attention to what other people are doing, and how you win this game is you get your victory cube all the way to the end, which is 40 points. So you also want to be watching like, okay, how close is Dan? How close is Dan? How close is Dan? How close is Dan to getting 40? And to make sure that you're not too far behind and you know when the right time is to buy cards, flip your cards, all of that stuff. It's fantastic. And if you are not so into space, I would recommend Machikoro as an alternative to this. But we've played both. Our preference is space.
I prefer space.
But if you're like, I don't really care about space, Machikoro is kind of the same idea, dice rolling cards.
Machikoro could
You're building out a city
live
instead.
Also here.
Yeah.
This is the one we prefer.
So that is our recommendation for a dice rolling game.
Yeah, and a little bit more dexterity as well.
More hands-on. Now we have our 5 honorable mentions. This is basically a list of 10, but I just wanted to give you, or we wanted to give you some suggestions for some other mechanics that if these aren't, if these aren't the ones for you, then maybe these ones are. Oh boy. First one that we have is Arcadia Quest from CMON Games and Spin Master, and it is designed by people.
Eric Lang.
Oh, there's so many. Designed by Eric Lang, Fred Parrott, Guillemire Goulart, and Thiago Arna. So many. This is a game that we would recommend if you are interested in getting into dungeon crawlers or even campaign-based games. If you have seen something like a Gloomhaven, let's just say, which we would not recommend as the first game you try. Well, actually, it sounds like something that we would do, the first game that we would play. Yeah. But if you're interested in that, but it kind of scares you, then maybe start with Arcadia Quest. Another one that has lots of expansions that you can build on.
Yeah, and the minis are phenomenal.
The minis are awesome. Obviously, it's CMON, so you know that they're going to be good.
Yep.
And this is really just kind of introducing you to that area movement. You're building out like your players and your gear, which increases over time. There's different scenarios to play, and it's not a legacy game, so you can play it again, different characters, make different choices, things like that. We played this a ton when we first got it. We loved this game. We have one of the expansions. I think maybe we've outgrown it just a little bit, but there is also Starcadia Quest now, which is a space version of this game, which introduces a few other mechanics. I still do love this game. I think it's fantastic if you're looking to get into that mechanic.
Yeah, it's got a special place for us.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think most people know campaign games are one of my favorite mechanics.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to kind of introduce yourself to unique player powers, because you'll have characters in front of you that all have their unique abilities. Yep. If you're looking for that deeper campaign-related element in a board game, I think this is a perfect place to start. Next up, from Bezier Games and designed by Ted Alspach.
Alspach.
Silver Bullet.
Obviously, guys, come on.
Silver Bullet, we've already talked about this a million times on the channel, and we've had a million people purchase this game due to our recommendations.
And they've all loved it.
And I honestly don't know one. I could be wrong. I don't know anyone. Everyone's come back and said how much they love this game.
Yes.
So I'm very confident in suggesting this to people.
Yep.
Probably more confident than any other game that we've played or owned.
100%.
Silver Bullet is a great take that card memorization-esque game.
Yes.
I don't know what else to say about it other than the fact that, especially if you are a 2-player primary household like we are,
yep.
in my opinion, it's cheap enough and has a really great dynamic, if you're competitive especially, to play with your partner or friend or whoever you are gaming with.
Yes, and a ton of replayability.
Yeah.
Like, this is a game that you could just play over and over and over and over again. Every game is going to be different, and every game is going to be fun. You're going to get frustrated sometimes because you can't pull the cards that you want, and it just has everything. We love this game. It is technically, we wanted to put 5 different ones on the list because we've talked about this so much. I feel like you guys know that no matter the level, we recommend this game, but we couldn't leave it off.
The amount of hours we've played and enjoyed this game for its cost is...
we got our money's worth.
Is insane. Yeah.
We love it. We love it. It's the best. Oh, for party game, because some people like to party. Who doesn't? And the game us. The game that we would recommend for a party game, there's quite a few. I was going to say code names. I think you could go either way here. But monikers, because I think monikers is more welcoming and friendly for non-gamers versus Codenames, which is a bit more gamery, I think.
I would also say that I feel like Codenames at this point is basically Catan.
Exactly, and that's why I didn't put it in the list.
So many people have played
Everybody knows it,
and played it.
It's one of those like staple games that most people have, even if they don't play other games.
Yeah.
So monikers is a party game where you have a word, which could be a person, a place, or a thing that you need to get your team to guess. It's a team-based game. So to do that, there are 3 rounds. First phase, you can say whatever you want except for the words and to get somebody to guess. Second round is you only get to say 1 word and then they have to guess. And third round is you have to do charades and then they have to guess, which of course the words are always going to be the same that they're guessing. So they kind of have to figure out from maybe an action or a word that you did before to put it together. That's what you're talking about. It is super fun. It is hilarious. We've played it a few times, not with the official game. We have the official game now, which is great. But to be honest with you, you don't really need the official game. You can look up the rules online, make up your own cards, make up your own words to try it out. I wanted the official one because it's pretty and it's going to come with things that you don't need to put the work in. It's already done. So monikers is a super fun party game that I think pretty much everybody will like unless they are a very large introvert. They may not like it. Roll and write. We could have chosen a few different ones for this. I picked, without Jeff knowing what I picked, but I think
just saw that.
I picked Railroad Inc. It is like I said, it's a roll and write where you're rolling dice that have different either railroads or highway pictures on them, and then you're drawing those on a grid, trying to connect them to the edge of the board to score points and to make railroads and highways, basically. Roll and writes are super easy. They're fun to play. I feel like most of them, not all of them, are pretty welcoming for most people. The one that this was battling with would have been Welcome To, which we
Not in my opinion.
You don't think so? You can play both of these online. There's great iterations of them online. But Welcome To, I find, is just,
I would say,
easier to play online.
But yeah, I think any game in that roll and write, flip and write sphere,
with the exception of Hadrian's Wall, because I know we haven't played it, but I've heard that is a heavy boy.
Play, I think, relatively well in that intro-esque space, or maybe like a step above intro.
And you can test most of them out online to see if you like them. So there's that. And then our last honorable mention for a co-op game, we picked Horrified. I picked Horrified.
let's be clear.
From Ravensburger, and this is designed by Prospero Hall. So Horrified is a cooperative game where you are fighting the universal monsters. Each monster has a different win condition. What the beauty of Horrified is, you can start easy and then you can work your way up to hard. So you can fight only 2 monsters, and then at the end maybe you're fighting like 4 monsters that have different difficulty levels. I love this game. This is probably one of my favorite co-op games, with the exception of the Initiative. I think that it is a great one. If you are into the theme, even better. What would you like to say about it?
Nothing.
You don't like it?
No. Listen, it fits in this list, in my opinion. The Initiative, I think, fits better, but it also doesn't because it's kind of a one-time deal. If it wasn't a one-time deal,
yeah,
I would probably lean the Initiative more than Horrified in terms of this co-op game. But there's also a ton of co-ops we haven't played, so that's also
That's
tough.
true. We don't play a ton of co-ops, and when we do, they're usually pretty heavy, like Sleeping Gods, Gloomhaven, like Betrayal games, those types of things. So my pick is Horrified. It's
a good pick.
Yeah.
It's fine. I need to remove my bias of...
He doesn't like the Universal monsters. What a weirdo. I love them.
I know.
Are you gonna like the other one? There's a new one coming out about American monsters. Yeah, you probably won't. Those are all of the games that we have to mention today. Of course, take everything with a grain of salt. These are our opinions. These are games that we enjoy. That does not guarantee that you will enjoy them. And maybe some might be too easy for you, and maybe some might be too hard for you. So just kind of, my recommendation is play your friends' games. Go to a place like the Boardroom Game Cafe or a game cafe. Try games online before you buy. Games are very expensive. If you're looking to get into this hobby, it is expensive. So as much as you can, try.
It can be expensive.
It can be expensive. Doesn't need to be. But yeah, if you can try out some games beforehand.
I would always recommend, to Jamie's point, if you have the ability to go play at a game at a cafe or a friend's place, to try it before you purchase.
Yeah, try before you buy.
And be mindful too that recency bias is a thing. So if you play a game one time, you're like, I need to own this.
Yeah.
The likelihood that it is going to decrease as you play it in terms of your enjoyment is there. It's a real thing. So just be mindful. Do as much research as you can. Many, many, many videos if that's the way you learn and uncover things. Take what we're saying, as you mentioned, with a grain of salt, and do your research and figure out if any of these games are of interest to you.
Exactly. That is all that we have for you guys today. We hope that you have found some games here that you may be interested in. Let us know down below if you have recommendations for intro/starter games for people as well. The back of your hat is not gonna stay down.
I told you this.
It looks like a cowboy hat now. Yeehaw. That is all that we have for you guys today. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing to us here at Foster the Meeple. Give this video a thumbs up. If you're interested, you can join us on Discord, where we all hang out every single day, chat every single day. It's just like a big group of friends in there, and I love it.
I just held in a yawn and my lips quivered. They went.
I thought you were just gonna cry because you love the Discord so much.
I do love the Discord.
We also have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting us. That would be great. If not, that's great too. All of that information is down below. We have social media at Foster the Meeple, Instagram, and Twitter. The last thing I will say, if you are interested in buying games, the first place you should always look is your friendly local gaming store.
Oh! Where's ours?
For us here in Halifax, that is the Boardroom Game Cafe located down on
Barrington.
And we will put all of their information right here, as well as down below. No wiggly fingers. I don't like them. That's all we have. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye.
Later days.
Goodbye. Ow.
You did it.
Goodbye. Ouch. Ready?
No.
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
scratch that.
Scratch it.
Look at the size of those crows. Big old boys.
I don't see anything.
Look at them.
Oh, hi.
There's 3 of them. I think they work in pairs, though.
Probably.
I remember reading that somewhere. It's always 2.
Are you kidding? Like, what's he going on about?
He's been doing it all morning.
Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah, you're trying to get concise with the videos, right?
Yeah.
So I should shut up. I think solo abilities to play. That is a weird way to phrase that.
Solo abilities to play. Oh, that was baby.
Sorry,
baby. I mean, Albie.
Oh, God, she's going crazy. We have our youngest cat.
Our youngest.
Goes just ballistic sometimes.
Crazy cat. She's got the zoomies.